Hey everyone, it's Friday, November 13th, 2020. Welcome to episode 39 of the Ginger and the Beard podcast. I'm AJ, aka The Ginger.
And I'm Reese, aka The Beard.
And on this week's show, we'll be drinking and reviewing craft beers from Farmhouse Brewing and Founders Brewing, speculating on a tournament to decide the new lightweight UFC champion, and discussing a matchup between Thiago Santos and Alexander Rakic coming in 2021.
We'll also be talking about the news that Google Photos won't be free next year. Facebook's future AI for moderation, that's probably a good idea, and Xbox Series X disk drive issues.
But before we get started, I want to remind you to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, and if you really want to help us grow, share our show with a friend. We truly appreciate your support.
Yes, and make sure to check out the YouTube chapters or the timestamps in the description if you want to skip around to your favorite topics. All right, man. We have a lot to cover, so let's get into this. How was your week, sir?
It was good, man. I can't believe it's Friday already. This week went by extremely fast.
Yeah.
I remember starting the last week's episode with saying my week was very long, so that's a positive. But yeah, we had some exciting stuff, kind of some shared goodness between the two of us. Had a couple of awesome interviews that happened this week. So real quick, guys out there listening, make sure you check out the two episodes before this one with Brian Reedy from Gamer Advantage and another one with Jimmy Lochran from Smartmouth Brewing, head brewer at Smartmouth. Those are awesome interviews, man. I had a great time.
I did too. Yeah. So if you guys want to learn about blue light and how it can how it's damaging to your health, your sleep schedule, and what you can do to combat that, listen to episode 37 with Brian Reedy, Gamer Advantage, blue light filtering glasses. I think we're pretty sold on them. I'm pretty sure the Ginger here is going to be buying a pair for himself. So guys, check it out. You might be convinced too. And if you want to learn about the, beer brewing experience, go ahead and check out episode 38. We had a lot of fun. Jimmy was a great guest and a lot of fun to talk to him too, man. It was great.
Yeah, both those guys, super interesting, really fun to talk to. So if the blue light glasses don't help you sleep enough, you can drink some Smartmouth beer and it will help you get a little sleepier.
That'll put you to sleep. Yeah.
While also being very delicious. So Absolutely. Yeah, that was good, man. How about you? Anything other than that exciting happening this week for you?
I'm building a fireplace. It's like not a legit real fireplace. It's like one of those you cut out a hole in your wall and then you put a fireplace in, but we're not like cutting out a hole in our wall. We're just building a wall and then putting a fireplace in it and then, mounting a TV and building cabinets and shelves. And anyway, so we got done with the wall. The wall's done. It's shiplapped all the way up. We're ready to hang the TV. The fireplace fits in. Everything's going good. Now we just got to build the cabinets and the shelves and we'll be done. Except for we have to paint the room and then put new floors in. It's never ends.
Oosh.
Never ends.
Oosh.
Yeah.
Man, home ownership at its finest. That's impressive, though, man. I truly am. Number one, it was the desk. You started with the desk. You got all your cool tools. Built yourself a desk. Now you're building a fireplace. You guys redid your bathroom. I mean, it's like destination makeover. Is that what they call that HGTV show? I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically all these Instagram, personalities that are like building stuff. And my wife just like latches onto them, and she's super ambitious. And she's got the mindset for it, and I got the skill set for it. So it kind of just
awesome.
Works.
Yeah, for sure. I'd watch an HGTV show with you guys as hosts.
God,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, cool, man. Well, yeah, like you said, we got a lot to get into, so I feel like we should go ahead and move into our first segment. What you drinking? I think we got some delicious sounding beers to get into.
Let's do it.
All right, so to kind of kick us off here a little bit, I posted a picture of this one earlier today. Got this one from Farmhouse Brewing, as I do lots of beers. Oh. This one's very cool. This is part of their Day of the Dead celebration. It's called Roja.
Like red.
Or sorry, Rojo. It's an O, not an A.
I can't even roll my tongue, man. That's so impressive.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Roja.
Mine's like
that works too. They also put out another one called Azul.
Blue.
Yeah, exactly. Basically the exact same can except for blue, and it's a cider instead of a beer. So this one's, I mean, number one, can design is on point. This is super cool. Farmhouse is doing a lot of these like foil can wraps, which just looks awesome. So whoever they're using for the design of these, great job. But what's inside sounds even more cool. So this is an acai, I think that's how you pronounce that. Acai bowl sour ale. So it's an acai bowl inspired sour ale brewed with acai, blackberry, raspberry, lactose, vanilla, banana, and oats. Holy smokes, Batman! That's a lot of ingredients.
Did I miss it? What's bowl inspired?
Like an acai bowl? You ever heard of that?
No.
I guess it's like acai is like some kind of a fruit or something. I don't know what you consider.
So it's like a fruit bowl inspired.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they just mix up a bunch of healthy foods.
Nice.
I mean, clearly you can tell we've never eaten an acai bowl before. I had some Pizza Hut pizza last night. I don't know if that counts.
That sounds. I had some spaghetti and meatballs this afternoon. That was nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's like one of those breakfast bowls, right? Breakfast oats with a whole bunch of fruit in it. That's probably right.
I think it's like a hipster thing, honestly. I don't know.
Yeah, let me go.
You guys out there tell us if you ever eaten an acai bowl.
Yeah.
But all those flavors together sound like it could be very interesting. So let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open. I've never had one of these. I'm expecting it to be thick. I'm expecting it to be very red, just based on the name. So let's go ahead and get some ASMR here.
Oh, it sounds so good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
That smells fruity for sure. I'm going to go ahead and give it a pour.
I'm expecting red. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's opaque. That's like,
Ooh. That is a thick boy.
Yeah, that is, man.
Yeah, so going to hold it to the camera here. If you guys aren't watching the video, it's a very deep rojo color.
It's like tomato
very
juice.
Deep red. Yeah, it is kind of like tomato juice. Hopefully it doesn't taste like that. But, I mean, definitely not getting any light through this sucker. It's nice and thick. No head at all in this. I mean, you don't really expect that from a sour. Anyway, it's not quite as thick as, if you remember, we had the strawberry goza, the Ric Flair strawberry goza on the show. Not as thick as that, and I'm not seeing like, maybe there's a little bit in the bottom there, some of that sediment, from the fruit. And also, I didn't get a complete pour out of this can, so if I sip this down a little bit and pour the rest in, I might see something else at the bottom of the glass. So. Yeah. I mean, we kind of covered the look there. The smell, I mean, off the top is just very fruity. I mean, I definitely pick up some of the raspberry. I don't really know what an acai berry smells like, to be honest with you guys. So it might be in there. I mean, a little bit of the vanilla and banana also. Banana, after a couple sniffs there, I pick up the sweetness of that banana. So it smells very nice. Let's go ahead and give it a sip. Very, very well balanced, I feel like, for a sour. I mean, the sour hits you right up front. Very fruity. Definitely get some of the blackberry. I feel like the blackberry is most prominent. And I do know blackberries because I've been eating a lot of blackberries recently. Apparently they're good for you, so I've been trying to eat a bunch of them.
Antioxidants, man. It's good.
Yeah, definitely pick up a lot on that very tart blackberry taste, and also some raspberry. I think the more I kind of mull it over a little bit, I get some of the sweetness of the banana. Not super salty. I know you're always talking about salt with sours. Let me see if I can pick up on that again.
Usually more with gosas, though. When they're specifically labeled as gosas, they're they have more. They're brewed with salt, or not salt.
Yeah,
but it's like sodium.
I guess if I'm looking for it, I can get a little bit of the salt. I was actually talking to some of my friends today, and they were saying you can basically trick your mind. As if you tell yourself what you're tasting, you'll pick up on it. So it could be a little bit of that, but overall, this tastes very nice. It's very smooth. It's a 7.5% ABV. I feel like that might be a little bit on the heavier side for a sour, actually. But I don't. It's not really affecting kind of the taste of it. I'm not picking up on any of that sort of alcohol flavor. But yeah, overall, this is really, really good. I mean, it feels great in the mouth. It's thick, like we said. You can tell just by looking at it. It's kind of thick. It does coat the mouth a little bit, but doesn't really leave like that lingering aftertaste. So overall, I mean, I'm really, really pleased with that. So great job again, Farmhouse. Make sure if you're local to Hampton Roads, I know we got a, excuse me, a fair amount of Hampton Roads listeners and followers on Instagram. So make sure you swing by Farmhouse and check them out and pick up one of these while supplies last, as it is a seasonal limited release. So you make sure you get your hands on one of these.
Yeah, dude. We need to find a bunch of people from Hampton Roads, because like we're doing so much for them right now. That whole area. Let's just hit all those breweries.
Drink local. Drink local.
Drink it up.
So what about you, man? What do you got tonight?
All right, we have a return of Founders. We got another Founders here. We had one last week. I think I've done at least 2 other Founders beers. I think I did Dirty Bastard. No, you did Dirty Bastard. I did Breakfast Stout. I can't remember. And then I had another one from the KBS series, but I don't remember what it was. But this one right here is the KBS series from Founders. This is the Maple Mackinac Fudge. And I do remember in the past, there was another beer that I did that had Mackinac Fudge in it. It was not this beer. And I tried going back and trying to remember which one it was that had the Mackinac Fudge in it. But just a reminder, Mackinac Fudge is that like special coffee bean in chocolate that they do in Michigan, like upper Michigan or Detroit area of Michigan, because that's where Founders is from. They're from Michigan. So that other brewery must have been from Detroit, and I'm going to have to go rack my brain and figure out where they are. But anyway, this is an 11% ABV. Ooh, take me home. I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to make it to the end of this. Let's go ahead and pour this sucker out. 40 IBUs. This is black as night. We got
is that motor oil? What is that?
Yeah, I actually haven't changed my oil in about 17 months, and I just drained it. So this is what we got here. Good old black, very opaque. Even if I put it up to the light, I can't see anything. So this is very, very dark. On a scale of 1 to 100, it's definitely above 90. And we got a mocha colored foam at the top, lighter, tanner, kind of, pretty even bubbles throughout. You see 1 or 2 bigger bubbles. The rest of them are still there. The head's kind of lingering for a little bit, but that head went away pretty fast. So let's go ahead and give it a sip. Actually, before I give it a sip, this is what the website had to say. Michigan didn't invent old-fashioned fudge, but it was perfected here. We pay tribute to this time-honored tradition with KBS Maple Mackinac Fudge by amplifying the rich chocolate notes of KBS using Mackinac Fudge coffee. So that's what it is. Then adding maple syrup and aged in oak bourbon barrels, we've created a bold new take on our barrel-aged classic, one that could only have originated in Michigan. So, ooh, smells good. Oh, smells like fudge. I'm getting a very chocolatey nose on that, I would say.
Nice.
Interesting. Definitely a lot of coffee too. I'm getting, so I read some other reviews to try and figure out like what they had in mind. And a lot of people said that it was mostly just like a coffee and a maple smell. And I'm actually not getting any maple at all, really. I'm getting mostly coffee. The second and third smell is like all coffee, but the first smell was like a chocolatey kind of smell. So let's go ahead and give it a taste. And still the whole time is coffee and chocolate. Oh yeah. This, you know what? This tastes like if you took like a 70 or 80% cacao chocolate bar and jammed it into a beer, or just like let it melt in your mouth. Like seriously, it tastes just like a dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh yeah. And now I'm definitely getting like the bitterness of the coffee as I sit here and let it in, let my mouth kind of, get all of the taste out of there. So that's really nice. Still, I'm not really getting the maple though. Third taste. Mostly coffee on that one. The fudge is gone. So yeah, that's very interesting. Now I'm just getting mostly coffee, maltiness, a little bit of fudge there on that aftertaste. Kind of like, have you ever just, ate a piece of very dark chocolate and you don't like just chomp it down and like swallow it immediately. You just like melt in your mouth. Like that's the kind of feeling that I'm getting right now. And And it's really good, actually. This is pleasant. I could see why so many people love this beer. It got a 99 out of 100 on Beer Advocate.
Wow.
So this is
Impressive.
like top rating. And yeah, it's
That's
in.
awesome.
I know they sell it at Total Wine right now. We're in Virginia. If you guys can make it out to Total Wine, I am blown away. The more, the longer with every sip, I'm like, this is great. So,
Very nice.
one thing I didn't touch on was the body. And, I can't really say that it's definitely not light. It's not overwhelming. It kind of has a nice mouthfeel to it. So yeah, really like this. It's nice.
Yeah, man. It sounds like something I would definitely want to try. I'm not a huge fan of dark chocolates, but paired with some coffee and some maple sweetness, I could get behind that.
Oh yeah, dude, dark chocolate, like the light chocolate's the crap that you don't want. Like if you go get a
Sugar.
Hershey's chocolate bar, it's like 50% wax. Like it's not even chocolate at that point.
Yeah.
Like you want that 70% and up cacao, because it's mostly just the cacao, which has like a lot of antioxidant properties and still tastes pretty good too. So
yeah, I mean, Shayna and I had bought a bunch of that at one point because we were doing the paleo diet and you couldn't have dairy. And so you're like allowed to have chocolate if it was like over a certain % cacao.
Yeah.
So that's why I remember eating it and I was just like, this is gross. This does not taste as nearly as good as a Hershey's milk chocolate bar.
Oh yeah, right. If you were to get like a 90%, I've had a 95% cacao and it's like dirt, dude. It's so bad.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You gotta kind of stick around like the 70 to 80% range.
I think that was the marker too. I think it was like, it has to be like 95% cacao for you to be able to eat it. And I was just like, I can't do this, dude. I can't do it. Yeah. But it was good. Oh, good.
I bought a bar of it and like put it in the freezer. So it was like little like chocolatey ice cubes, which kind of helped, but
oh, that's smart.
Yeah, we were on a pretty intense diet last year, and so that was like the only sweet that I was allowed to have. So I would have like one little piece of that, and it was nice.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we did it because we're trying to be healthy and all that stuff. The paleo diet, and cut down some weight, which I did actually lose a little bit of weight. I didn't really need to lose a lot of weight, but I actually felt really good after doing the paleo diet. Like I felt like a lot of energy and stuff, but it was hard to do, man. It was really hard to do. But yeah, like I said, I did shred some pounds, and somebody else that's been shredding some pounds, also a ginger, Paul Felder. And we got some UFC shenanigans we got to get to.
Let's get to it then.
Yeah, so Paul Felder, guys, this guy dropped 14 pounds in 5 days to step up and fill in I can't remember his name. Islam
Makhachev.
What's his last name?
Makhachev.
Yeah, fill his spot to fight Rafael Dos Anjos tomorrow. Tomorrow for us, which is Saturday, the 14th. So, yeah, man. But he's got some thoughts around a potential tournament at the lightweight division that I think you're going to tell us about, right?
Yeah, I am. So, what do you think? Let me start it out like this. Do you think they should have a tournament at lightweight to crown the new champion? Well, Paul Felder certainly does. And here's what he said recently. I think that tournament idea is really cool, honestly, because it gets all of us busy and active right now, and it kind of forces everybody to be like, all right, there's no hand picking this. So it's like, it's not leaving it up to Dana White and team to pick who's going to get the belt. He also said, I think it makes sense to make this big 8-man tournament or something like that and have us work our way up toward that belt. I like that idea. I like that idea as well. And, certainly goes well in, with Khabib leaving. Khabib, who was just kind of like the monster at 155, is left this huge void, this huge vacancy where there's so much competition at the 155 division. Really the next 8 people in line, you could really give any one of them a shot at that belt. And none of them probably would have beat Khabib, but they all have been intermingling and beating each other, and who knows, man. So I love that idea. It gives them all a chance. What do you think?
I love that idea too, because it kind of gets rid of the whole favoritism or like money fights and things like that. It takes it like back to like the old school days where it's like truly number 1 guy fights number 2 guy, or number 2 guy fights number 1 guy and then becomes number 1 guy. You know what I mean? I kind of like that idea. If that's the way they actually play it out, I'd be interested in seeing how they actually make the quote unquote like brackets, I guess, like who they match up with each other. And we could definitely speculate on that for a second, but
oh sure, we could talk about that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways they could slice it.
They should do this anytime somebody vacates.
I agree, man, because yeah, I mean, if we've talked about this many times, it's like, so Khabib leaves, so the next fight we have at this caliber is Conor and Dustin, right? Yeah, which is in March of next year. I believe that's what they scheduled it for. And so what are we going to do? We're going to give them, is that going to be a title fight? Have we found out if it's going to be a title fight?
We haven't, but I
mean, all signs point to most likely, right?
That's probably what they're going to do, right? With Conor McGregor, of course, being the moneymaker here, they're going to give him this, random title fight for the belt and, see if he can starch Dustin again. Yeah,
and I mean, what we've talked about before is like the guy who's been dominating the division, I mean, granted, he only has defended 4 times. Khabib is now gone. And, just like Justin didn't want that interim belt after he beat Tony, he's like, I want the real thing. Like, well, you never beat the real guy. The real guy walked away. You never got to beat the real guy. So, like, to me, I'd feel like, well, I could say this all day. I'm a guy that sits at a desk all day. I don't fight anybody. As you say, I fight my pillow and that's it. But, so I can say these things all day. But to me, it seems like unless you beat the real guy, then do you really feel like you hold the real belt? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's like using cheat codes at the end of a video game to beat the boss. It's like, did you actually beat the game, or did you just happen to like find a way to do it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, just to support Tony is like, he was preparing to fight a wrestler. He wasn't preparing to fight a striker when he went against Gaethje, so
right.
He kind of, you never know, man. You just never know. Maybe if he was more prepared, he would have went into that Khabib fight and won. Until they fight, no one will ever know.
Yeah, exactly. So especially for him, like he's been chasing Khabib forever. So I think if they do this, I guess long way of saying, if they do this tournament style thing, at least that way, whoever comes out victorious feels like they earned their way there legitimately, because they had to beat like 2 or 3 guys to get there.
Yeah.
So they actually they put in their dues, right? And got the belt.
Well, Khabib didn't even really earn his belt. He fought a number ranked guy for the title.
He fought a what? An unranked guy?
He fought a number ranked guy. He fought I can't remember his name. The guy from New York. Can't even remember his name right now.
Al Iaquinta?
Yeah, Al Iaquinta. That's who really? That's who he fought to get the title. It was
was it another vacating situation?
Yeah, it was a vacated title. Because I believe Conor had vacated it at that point.
Oh yeah.
And so he was supposed to fight Tony, and then Tony injured his leg, and so then Al Iaquinta came in. That fight for the title should have been the Tony fight, but so yeah, I mean, there's even an argument that you could potentially say that Khabib didn't even rightfully earn the title.
True, but then Conor did come back and he did beat him.
He did beat Conor. But he only defended his belt a couple times. I mean,
yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I think this Conor Dustin fight, we've talked about it many times before. It will be interesting to watch. I did see that before Dustin had officially signed the contract, they were looking at potentially a Justin Conor fight, because I guess they probably used that as like a bait for Dustin. Like, all right, dude. Well, if you don't sign it, we got Justin here. He's ready to step up.
As always,
of course. So, but yeah, man, I like that. I'm excited to see Paul Felder come back tomorrow night. Yep. We were talking about it before we started the show, and he cut 14 pounds in 5 days. He looks a little thin, compared to Rafael Dos Anjos. So,
but he's gonna gain those 14 pounds back in like 2 nights.
Probably so. He's on IVs right now while we're talking.
No way, he is.
I'm just saying, probably.
Oh,
I think they get on IVs as soon as the weigh-in's over with, just to rehydrate. So, But yeah, man, that's interesting. So another fight coming up that just got announced today, I'm pretty sure, is Thiago Santos and Alexander Rakic fighting also in March 2021. Might even be, I don't know for sure, on the same card as the Conor and Dustin fight. But I found this very interesting just because obviously Thiago just came off of a submission loss to Glover Teixeira like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Alexander Rakic recently coming off a win over Anthony Smith via decision. It was a pretty easy decision. It went I think it was a 3-round main event actually, if I remember correctly. But what I was looking at,
actually watch that one. I know that he dominated him though.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to watch. I feel so bad for Anthony Smith. I just hope we talked about it before. I hope he gets his mojo back, because he's a likable dude. You want to see him win, but
Right.
It's just the cards haven't fallen in his favor for a few fights. But did you realize that Thiago Santos is not even ranked anymore?
How?
At light, I have no idea. I don't know when he fell out of the rankings. I mean, clearly he just fought John Jones for the title last year.
Yeah.
He had double knee surgeries. So I don't know if maybe they were expecting him to be out for a long time, so they pulled him out of the rankings. But, coming off this loss to Glover, I'm not sure where he sat before that loss.
Dude,
But
I thought
yeah,
he
I
was
mean-
like number 1 or 2 at least.
I thought he was number 2. And I thought Dominic Reyes was number 1. I thought he was number 1 and Thiago was number 2. So I'm not really sure why. I just like literally realized this before we started recording. So I need to like research it and figure out, why is that? Unless that's a fluke, unless there's an issue, on the website, but also I confirmed via Wikipedia, the all-knowing, all-powerful Wikipedia. That's always accurate.
Of course. Yeah, nobody can edit that if they felt like it.
No, definitely not.
I can't go on there right now and change Thiago Santos's whole background right now.
Let's see if we can do it on the fly. On the fly research, just so we're being accurate here.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go change his record to 100-0 and say that he beat everybody.
Yeah.
In an alternate universe.
See, I'm looking at a different website now, rankingmma.com, but it's still showing as Jan Blachowicz as number 1, Glover number 2, Dominic number 3, Thiago number 4. But it's not showing, so this might be outdated because Jan obviously is not the number 1, unless they just show it differently here. He's obviously the belt holder.
Yeah, there should be a C next to his name.
Right, and it's not in this list, so could be an outdated list. But either way, I mean, we'll try to do some fact checking on that one. This could be a fluke on the site, because as I'm looking at the UFC's rankings right now on their actual website, it's got Dominic Reyes' name listed twice.
Yeah,
so there might be a bug.
That's a bug. It's got to be.
So
kind of
yeah,
going
I think so
back
too.
to the first topic on UFC is 16 people, right? 15 rankings plus a champ. That's 16 people. They could easily do a tournament, a 16-person tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see why not. And even if it wasn't 16, even if it was just 8, like even if you like that, what if that was just like a common thing? Somebody vacates, and then instantly the top 8 guys are initiated into a, single elimination tournament.
That should just be what it is. Like every year is like the people in the people in the top 8 are fighting tournament style all year long, and then the bottom 4 that lose have to go back to like the second 8, and then the people in like the second 8, same thing, right? And then it's like that's how you move up. There's no like, oh, I'm unranked and I fight somebody that's ranked number 5 and now I'm ranked number 5.
Yeah, that would get rid of probably some of the negativity around promotional stuff, people talking shit on each other all the time.
Yeah, it would be a legitimate, it would be, but I guess it's not realistic because you can't make money, they do.
Why
all this
not,
stuff to
dude?
make
You could
money.
definitely hype that up so hard. Like the tournament, it could be on, I mean, you could do some of those fights in the same night, right?
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Yeah, you could. I mean, DraftKings would pick it up. You could have a fantasy league. You could have a fantasy UFC thing.
Dude, you could start having teams. Like,
oh yeah, that'd be sick. Well, there is teams. There are teams, I guess, technically.
Well, yeah, because they all go to the same gym and whatnot. But you could literally have like teams, and then like, potentially, have like a point system, so that like at the end of the year, it's like whichever team won the most or whatever, that gym gets awarded something. Like, dude,
a sweet trophy.
Yeah, and then you could have owners, and then there could be bobbleheads, and then you could have jerseys,
UFC cards,
and baseball bats. Yeah,
UFC trading cards.
Oh, dude.
Oh man, I'm getting excited now.
Let me go trademark that.
Can we go? We should start another promotion.
Yeah,
it's called TFC, Tournament Fighting Championship.
Tournament fight. Oh, that's it.
All right. Show's over. Let's go trademark this.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later. Check out the chapters. Bye.
Okay, see you. Yeah, so, I mean, going back to Thiago Santos, I think this is interesting. If the rankings are jacked up, Alexander Rakic, he looks like he's at number 4 right now. He is ranked. He's a young guy. He's a pretty explosive fighter. So I don't know if this fight's better for Alexander, if it's better for Thiago. I know Thiago was very disappointed in himself after that loss to Glover. Really beating himself up over it. He thought he should have won that fight, but he got submitted. It happens.
Well, it actually just showed his fight IQ. Why would you go down to if you're not a submission grappler, then
right.
You're knocking somebody down to the ground. Why are you going to follow them to the ground? Just like tell them to stand back up so you could just keep doing your work.
True. Yeah, that was a poor decision on his part. Maybe that's why he was so upset with himself.
Yeah.
I think personally, this is probably a better fight for Alexander. In terms of he's got more to win. He's got more to gain from this fight than Thiago.
Oh, dude, I agree 100%. I think this is actually more important for Thiago now, because if he loses this fight to Alexander Rakic, who hasn't really had any significant fights, right? You could say, yeah, Anthony Smith, sorry. But like Anthony Smith hasn't won any fights recently. He's, so it's not really too much of an accomplishment there. But if he beats, Thiago Santos, at Thiago Santos' own game, which is stand-up, then that's even better,
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna have to be a real stand-up, a real good striker to take out Jan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, evasive striker. So
definitely,
yeah, man. Well, I think that's bringing us to an end, I guess, on UFC Shenanigans. So, if you want to take pictures of your favorite fighters. Then you'll probably want somewhere to store those photos. And
indeed.
Where are you going to store them? Let's talk about it with our tech news segment. All right, AJ, where are we storing photos these days?
Well, I can tell you where we're not storing photos. Well, you know what? Actually, here's the thing. You better start storing your photos now in Google Photos, because as of June 2021, Google Photos will no longer be free. I hate to break it to you folks. Google is laying down the hammer. They want your money. They know how many people use their photo service, and there's too much money to be had, and they've put up with this long enough. So now they're coming after your money.
Now we definitely have to start the TFC if we're going to be able to pay for our photos and store our fighter photos on Google Photos. That's the only way.
Store pictures of my photos.
I think I've had too much to drink already, and I'm not
11%.
I'm not even.
You're halfway down.
I'm like halfway down. Oh my god.
That's awesome. Yeah, so back in the day, if you guys remember when Google came out with their very first Pixel device, one of the major features that they promoted was free storage in Google Photos. So I'm pretty sure Google Photos was around before Pixel devices, but the deal was if you bought a Pixel phone, you would get free storage of your high resolution, quote unquote, photos within Google Photos. It was not your full resolution photos. If you wanted to store your full resolution photos, and you know this, Reese, because you have a Pixel phone.
Yeah.
Your full resolution photos, which would be heavier, a larger file size, would count towards your Google account storage. But your high resolution photos, which I'm not sure what they capped out at, I think it might have been like 1080p or 1080 photos. I think is what they considered high resolution. Those would be uploaded to your Google accounts and not counted towards your storage limit. So if you guys aren't aware, as a Google user, anytime you create a new Google account, you get 15 gigabytes of free storage. So if you didn't want to pay for anything extra, you could just store those high resolution photos, keep the full resolution photos on your device, but have that backup there just in case you wanted to check out your pictures on a different computer or a different phone or whatever the case is. So they've been running like that for it's been probably like 5 or 6 years, I want to say.
Yeah, man.
Since the very first Pixel launched. We're at Pixel 5 right now, and I don't think they've released one every single year. Could be wrong. So now they've we expected this to happen at some point. At the beginning when I bought the Pixel 2 XL, I thought it was just like a limited time. For the first 1 year, we'll give you free storage, but it lasted the length of me having that device. But again, no longer will that be the case as of June 2021. Instead, anything you've stored up to that point will remain there for free, not counting towards your storage, but anything you store beyond that point will now count towards your 15 gigabytes of free storage.
So,
what do you think?
So, we just talked about some Google News, last week? It was last week, I think, right?
Yep.
I think that this is another push in that direction. They're trying to get people onto their subscription platform, right? So they're going to say, okay, well, what else can we do to try and push people to get on our subscription platform? Well, already we have these perks that we, haven't really disclosed yet. And there's some other perks. And everybody uses Google Photos and everybody loves Google Photos, but that's like a perfect way where they could push people to pay this, $2 a month just to get extra storage space and all these extra perks. And I got to say, I'm at 14.6 gigabytes out of 15. And I'm not really sure what to do next, I actually tried sharing a video with you and it was way too large to fit on there. So I had to use some other program to do that. So it's
right.
I guess this makes sense. But it's kind of who wants to pay $2 a month, right? I don't know. I'll probably, if I end up having to do this, I'll probably just buy it for a year and just forget about it. It'll be like Amazon Prime all over again,
Yeah. This is a tough one, man, because this is where I think they're coming after Apple's model. Apple actually just copied Google because Google came out with something called Google One not very long. I think it was maybe a year or two ago.
Right.
And it was all about extra storage and things like that. So what you just mentioned, the $199 per month would get you as a user with a Google One plan 100 gigabytes of space. So upgrading from 15 gigs to 100 gigabytes. And I read some articles that had some figures in there. I think apparently Google is going to be releasing a calculator sort of thing to say, hey, if you are a person who takes, 100 photos a month, then here's how long it would take for you to fill up 100 gigabytes. And it kind of gives you an estimate, which is kind of cool. I don't know if that accounts for photos and all that sort of stuff, but 100 gigabytes for $2 a month. And I was just trying to look up. I think that's relatively close, if not the exact same, to Apple.
Isn't it crazy how every person in America probably has a cell phone? Not every person, but I would almost want to say probably 80% of people in America probably have a cell phone, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they're all using either Apple or some type of program on Apple to store their photos, or probably Google Photos, right? So it's these guys have so much, $2 a month is really nothing on the individual level, but
Yeah, I mean it's a couple billion people probably just in the United States. Actually, I don't know how many people are in the United States.
It's I think between 300 and 400 million is the United States.
Okay. So those people, I mean, yeah, you factor what does $2 mean if everybody has to pay $2. It's just like when Netflix raises their rates. They'll change your rate by like 25 cents one year. But they've got, how many ever millions of users. I think it was like 300 and some million, if not more than that. So instantly they've banked a ton of money, right?
Dude, yeah.
So
I think
just
they'll probably make like $50 million like in the first month that they do this or something. Some crazy figure that nobody would think of, but yeah.
Right. So I just looked it up. Apple actually does not offer a 100 gigabyte iCloud plan. It actually goes from 50, which is 99 cents a month, to 200, which is $3 a month. So if they had a 100 gigabyte plan, it'd be right there at that $199 price point. So moving up further, if you want more than that, if 100 gigs is not enough for you, you can get a 2 terabyte plan for $10 a month, which again, the exact same as iCloud. You get $10 for 2 terabytes. I actually just recently upgraded to that plan with Apple because what happens is, and if you guys out there, have a lot of photos on your camera, the same thing applies for Google as well. Like your photos transfer from one device to another because it's in the cloud. So you're not really necessarily paying for the phone storage, you're paying for the cloud storage, and that's what fills up so fast because they just carry over from device to device. For me, I've got kids, and like going through your phone, it's really hard to like delete pictures of your kids. Even if it's like the silliest picture, like you would never think you want to keep. It's just like, man, I feel weird deleting a picture of my kid. I'm erasing a moment in history. It just doesn't feel good. So it's almost impossible to like go out and mass delete a bunch of photos and clear out a bunch of that space. So what do you end up doing? You're like, all right, Apple, you can have an extra $1 a month, get me to that 50 gigabyte mark. But then here's what happens after that. Your phone tries to back up and it can't back up because there's not enough space. So it's like, hey, you're out of space. Your only option is to delete more photos, right?
Yep.
So then you don't want to delete photos. So then this is what happened to me. I upgraded to a 2 terabyte plan. I was like, all right, this is enough. I've had enough of this nonsense. 2 terabytes, I should never fill up. And you can share it with your family, which is exactly what Google plans to do with theirs. If you pay the 2 terabytes per month, you can share it with family members. So you can all benefit from that one storage plan. So yeah, I mean, you said it already. I think this is Google's attempt to get into like the services game. I'm not really sure what the long-term strategy is here. It kind of makes me wonder. I could see this happening. I don't know how plausible it would actually be. If they do enough services related stuff, like last week you brought up a specific camera feature that you could only unlock by paying extra. Software feature. Now there's the storage stuff. Like if they continue to do more of these services things, I could very easily see Google releasing a very low budget phone, but that requires you to pay a certain amount of services. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they did Google Stadia, right?
Yeah.
It's a device that you can connect to your existing television and you can play cloud games, and you're paying for the service more so than the hardware itself. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's a fantastic model, and I think they should do that where basically they're getting the phone into everybody's hands for like no cost, right? So if they give everybody, they're just like, you know what, we're going to give you the phone for free. It's not going to be your phone. We're going to lease it to you, right?
Yep.
It'll be managed service is what they call it basically. Is it's our property. You can use it, but you get all the benefits, and all you got to do is pay a little bit more on the monthly, you know? And I think that's a great model. I think that's a fantastic idea for them to get at people that can't afford a $1,200 phone, or whatever, and they also don't want the $80 crap phone that works for 2 months and then you throw it out. Like this gets them a quality phone in their pocket and guarantees Google's bottom line has a set amount every month. It's always going to be this amount.
Yeah.
I think it's it's a win-win.
I could definitely see that happening. And I agree. I think it could definitely be good for some people. Some people might think it's a terrible idea. But I mean, that's kind of the way things are heading. People are not going to be buying consoles. I feel like this is probably the last generation of video game consoles. We're going to get into that in a little bit. It's going to start. Huh?
What if they did like a credit check though? That's the only thing that scares me. is like to get one of those phones, you have to get a credit check. And then because it's their phone, it's their property. If you don't return it or you don't pay your bill, then it dings your credit. That's like,
Yeah, that's true.
that'd be the only thing.
Could be. It's a little bit Big Brotherish, I guess, in that sense. But there's always pros and cons to everything. So another company that tends to be a little bit Big Brotherish sometimes, and people are a little bit leery of, is Facebook. And we've got some interesting news out of Facebook as well.
Yeah, so I think that this is, pretty optimistic news. Facebook's now using, well, they're not now using, but they've in the future, in the near future, it's going to be released. I think right now they're kind of like beta testing it and whatnot, but they're using AI to sort content for quicker moderation, right? So, unfortunate as it is, humans are toxic. There's trolls out there. There's just shitty people out there. There's psychopaths, whatever you want to call it. They're crazy. People are crazy, and they go on these social media platforms and then they say all kinds of crazy things, hateful things that, the platforms don't want to be broadcasting out, and they have control over this, so they can moderate what you're saying. And if what you're saying is hateful, then they can remove it, which I respect. On the other side of that, then you have to think of, well, what if it's not, and it's, misinterpreted, and then they're moderating something, then it takes away from your freedom to speech. Okay, so I get that, but let's just stick on the focus on the positive side of this, right? So basically how it works now, violating posts are flagged either by users or by machine learning filters. There are some machine learning filters. It's just not as robust as it's going to be. So some cases are dealt with automatically. If certain like keywords are flagged, or certain behaviors flagged, it'll just be dealt with automatically. Some of it makes it through automation, and then human moderators have to review it, and then they make a decision. So Facebook has 15,000 moderators around the world, and Facebook's been heavily criticized, saying that that's not enough, or they just don't have enough support for these workers. Some of these workers are, being asked to work, extensive overtime, or, having to read all of these posts can be traumatizing for them. So it's a bit much. So they're trying to, they're trying to take the next step. They're trying to evolve. Facebook is. So in the past, moderators reviewed posts chronologically. That's another thing, is maybe they don't get to a post for 24 hours and it's been up for everybody to see for 24 hours. They want to get away from that. So here's the future. Various machine learning algorithms will be used to sort the queue, prioritizing posts based on 3 criteria, being virality, which is basically like how many people see it, severity, and the likelihood they're breaking the rules. So Facebook says the aim is to deal with the most damaging posts first. So the more viral a post is, the quicker it'll be dealt with, or at least reviewed. Facebook says it ranks posts which involve real world harm as the most important, which I think should be fairly obvious. Content involving terrorism, child exploitation, or self-harm is what we're considering the most important. And then posts like spam, basically, which is just annoying and not traumatic, is just ranked as the least important. So I think that this is fantastic. I think that more platforms should adopt this AI filtration system, which is probably going to be more precise than a human looking at it. But, who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is awesome too. Number one, for the mental well-being. Well, sorry, let me back up. Number one, for the people who are most at risk. So you mentioned the child exploitation. So those victims, you've got other things beyond child exploitation, which I don't really want to get into. It's just not a nice topic to talk about, but I think you guys know where we're getting at. That stuff makes it through, man. It makes it through the filters. You may have seen it before by accident, or just stumbled across things on these social media platforms. Things that break the rules very clearly and blatantly make it through very easily. And eventually they get taken down, but not quick enough. So those people, number one, I think this is amazing for them because it helps them. But number two, the people, like you said, who are reviewing the content, I think there's even been documentaries made about people who work as moderators for Facebook, for Instagram, for YouTube, where they're manually having to watch through this content, like you said, and review stuff that's just not what you want to be sitting in a desk watching all day. This is very bad stuff on the internet. And yeah, I think the documentaries and stuff in the past have talked about how traumatizing, like you mentioned, it is to their mental well-being. So I don't know how much those people get paid, but I don't think there's a number that's great enough to subject somebody to that stuff all day. You know, so I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to leverage the power of AI to step in and take over some of that work. I don't think anybody would argue with that statement. So I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been, you know, a bigger thing up until this point, but I know AI is still obviously an evolving technology. So I'm excited to see this hopefully put in place. I just looked it up. YouTube, also as of December 2019, has a workforce of moderators at 10,000. So they've got 10,000. Facebook has 15,000. That's a lot of people that have to sit around and watch this stuff all day.
25,000 people that are being subjected to just the worst of society.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I guess in some maybe, I don't know, in some sense, maybe they feel like it's kind of like they're seeking justice, which is kind of a good thing, but still, that's traumatic stuff, man, for sure. Oh, yeah. So I think this is awesome. Good on Facebook for propelling this forward, and hopefully some other companies are able to adopt this. This seems like a really good opportunity for all of the tech companies to kind of work together in concert and, you know, kind of solve this issue.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There needs to be something done because I think I mentioned during our last episode, the government is not keeping up with the technology. There's no regulations. There's no penalties. There's no significant penalties for saying nasty things or, you know, whatever happens on the internet is kind of just, it's the wild, wild west and anything kind of goes. And you have these non-governmental agencies governing what people can say. And it's like, well, it's like a really weird gray area because it kind of goes against freedom of speech, but you're allowed to have freedom of speech as long as it's not harmful, or like basically you're not allowed to run into an airport and yell bomb, bomb, bomb. Like that's illegal, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, that's illegal, but you know, is some of this other stuff that is being moderated, is it technically illegal? Like it's just a weird gray area, right? Like some of it is certainly untasteful, I would say. You know, and you probably don't want people seeing it, but is it actually like constitutional? Is it unconstitutional to you know, be showing those things? And then is it unconstitutional for Facebook to be moderating and preventing people from having freedom of speech? It's kind of weird, right? Because then you also have to think of, well, Facebook owns it. It's Facebook's platform, so they kind of are allowed to just do whatever they want. So, you know, I can understand that argument.
Yeah, I think the issue comes up when, and I've listened to so many podcasts and discussion around this exact topic, and I don't think there is a clear answer. There's so many. This is such a hard topic. The issue comes about when Facebook wants to say, "Hey, it's our platform. We can do whatever we want. We can take you down for whatever reasons we want," and hopefully they stick to like the real good reasons to take people down and not violating freedom of speech. But then they also, on the other flip side, want to say, oh, well, we're a publishing platform or whatever. There's some sort of like technical term they can say, like, hey, we're not responsible for the stuff that's posted on this platform. Like we are, you know, we I don't know, we get a pass essentially for, we're not held responsible for the stuff people post on our site. So at the same time, you can't be not responsible for the stuff that people post on your site, but also powerful enough to remove things. Like that's just like a weird fine, like double standard there that doesn't jive.
I agree. They're trying to like take the scapegoat on both ends, right?
Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's a hard question. I think Zuckerberg even said in an interview or whatever with like Congress at one point was like, listen, we don't want this responsibility. We do not want to be the people who are in charge of what gets said and what does not get said. And then they say that, and then they also, you know, were kind of just interjected themselves in the election by saying, by way of like, every time you open Facebook, it's like, hey, are you registered? Here's the election results, go vote, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But it's like, dude, you guys have been like, had so much shit thrown at you because you like have all the Russian bots and all this stuff. Like, why subject yourself to that again? Why interject yourself into that?
Oh,
I don't
well,
know.
I mean, the government's probably, helped them,
And,
but I mean, this
yeah,
was the, and I mean, you could probably count it just to like population growth, but like, we had the greatest voter turnout ever this year,
yeah,
which I think was maybe in part because of how,
involved.
yeah, and just like, I don't even want to go into it. I don't even want to go into it. I think we should just move on.
I agree, man.
All
I
right.
agree. We got some fun stuff to talk about next.
Yeah, dude, we got some games to talk about. I love video gaming, and I'm pretty sure anybody listening does too. So
Yes.
let's get into it. All right, man. What do you got for us?
All right, so on a little bit of a lighter note, a lot of a lighter note. So Xbox Series X released yesterday. It was launch day, and also I think it was PS5 launch day yesterday. I think you actually brought that to my attention. So happy console day out there to anybody who pre-ordered or was able to get one on release day. But some interesting videos and photos were circling the web yesterday, specific to the Xbox Series X. A couple of things, right? So let's talk about the real issue first. There's some people out there having some disk drive issues where the the game discs won't go into the disk drive. Like there's videos of them like hitting the eject button. It makes the noise indicating that there's nothing in the disk drive. Then they try to insert it, it won't go in. Stuff like that. So that's an issue, but my research so far is showing that it's probably just isolated issues. I'm sure Xbox will make good and probably replace their devices, of course. Sorry if you can hear my dog lapping up water.
Nope, can't hear it.
And so there's that issue. So hopefully it's just an isolated issue, not a widespread one. But the next one that was very concerning is there were some videos circling the web of the console literally billowing smoke out of the fan of the device. So if you guys aren't familiar with the design of the console, it's this big square or rectangular tower. It looks like a computer case almost, but at the very top of it, it's very similar to like Apple's trash can Mac design, where there's one exhaust fan at the very top. It's got this kind of grated covering on top of it, very large exhaust fan, I guess to dissipate some of the heat that comes from all those juiced up internals. But there were some videos where there's like literally smoke just billowing out of the top of it, kind of implying that something is going wrong inside of there. There's a fire or whatever. So with further investigation, the internet determined that this is nothing but a bunch of trolls who thought it would be funny to take their vape pens and blow vape smoke, clouds of vape smoke into the intake fan, which is on the bottom of the device. And then that vape smoke just gets filtered through the top. So, what you don't see in these videos is the 1 second before the video starts, somebody blew a giant cloud into the intake, or was just slightly out of the frame and blowing into the intake. So it looked terrible.
That's a horrible, horrible idea, first off. That's like, I feel like that's a really quick way. If you want to destroy the Xbox that you just spent all that money on, blow some vape smoke. Dude, I've smoked vape before. If you look at the little cotton stuff after you smoke vape, it is disgusting. If I did an experiment once where I put a cotton ball at like the end of my vape pen and then inhaled it, it is disgusting. Yeah. So those guys don't even realize it, but the inside of their Xbox, if it hasn't got the red ring of death yet, that sucker's going to probably be dead in like a month.
Yeah, I think Xbox even sent out a tweet from like their main account that said, "We can't believe we even have to say this. Please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X." Like, how pathetic is that?
It's pathetic.
So yeah, clearly the moisture from the vape smoke could do some serious damage to your machine. So don't do that.
Nope.
The next one that went around was that a kind of a hoax saying that the air coming from the exhaust fan of the tower was so strong that it could levitate a ping pong ball, which is possible. I think I've read that if you have a hair dryer and you're blasting the hair dryer and you put a ping pong ball on top of it, because of physics and stuff that smart people can explain, it levitates the ping pong ball. It'll just kind of hover there. So there were some pictures out there of ping pong balls levitating above the console. I guess implying like, hey, look how hard this fan runs. It's blowing so much air out. Oh my gosh, this is not good. But really, upon closer looks, it was somebody trolling again. It was a little tiny piece of metal wire that was not visible in the photo that was like holding up this ping pong ball on the grate. So people are trolling, people are having fun. This is what the internet does. They like to play tricks, so I guess if you want to risk damaging your device just for a couple likes on Instagram, go for it. But it seems so far that other than the disk drive issues, none of that stuff has merit. So that's good news.
Yeah. Well, oh man, people are so dumb. I just don't even understand it. I can't even process how stupid people are for the things that they do, and the trolling and the trickery and whatnot. But but on the inserting the disc issue, that's kind of weird. I mean, you would think an Xbox, at this point they'd have that figured out. I actually didn't even realize when I told you the PS5 got released, I didn't realize the Xbox was being released as well. I totally missed that. So now I know.
Competition is hot.
Yeah. So I personally think that, and I used to be an Xbox gamer. I was a PlayStation gamer, and then I was an Xbox gamer. And I think, in hindsight and now the levels that they're at, I think PlayStation is just so awesome, dude. If I was going to buy one, I'd probably buy a PlayStation.
I would go Xbox just because I've been loyal to Xbox ever since the very first Xbox. So I don't think I could go. I don't know though. I mean, I agree. I mean, Xbox hasn't done anything with VR yet. PlayStation has.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't really know the key spec differentiators right now. I think they're pretty evenly spec'd at this point. But
well, who knows?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody could break it down and really figure that out. But I guess on the note of VR, I'm going to go ahead and transition us into this next topic, guys. You know how we always love talking about free games? Well, here's a VR game that's going to be free. It's not just a VR game, though. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but Elite Dangerous is going free on Epic Game Store next week. And we haven't really been talking about Epic Games as much recently because they've been like kind of bad. But this is one where if you have the Epic Game Store, or if you don't, get it and get this game. This is an awesome game. All right, so this game was released back in 2014 by Frontier Developments. Next week, Thursday, November 19th until the 26th, it's going to be free, so you can download it and keep it forever. It includes one of the game's biggest DLC packs, Horizons. And just to give you a little bit of background, this is basically like a sandbox where you have a ship, you fly around, you can mine things, craft things, build better ships. It's kind of like No Man's Sky, but like better, like more realistic, like way more realistic, way more functionality, just a lot more going on. So if you really want to get like, just consumed by like a space sim, this would be the one that you would want. So it comes with the game's biggest DLC pack, Horizons, which gives you the ability to land and drive on surface of planets, craft weapons, and participate in multi-crew action, which like the base game, you're basically just like flying around, crafting ships and building space stations and stuff like that. Now you can actually land, drive on surfaces, craft weapons, participate in multi-crew action. So it's also the first VR-compatible space sim. Yeah. I mean, enough said about that. VR is awesome. You should definitely, if you have a VR headset, then this should be like the first game that you get. So it's a free release. The developers are kind of trying to get this prepped because there's going to be another free release very soon. It's their next big DLC launch. It's called Odyssey. It brings first-person shooting action to the game. So I mean, just another level of awesome that this game's bringing. One unfortunate thing that I feel like I probably have to note is the VR support for Odyssey. Well, it's not going to be available from when you exit your ship and you're actually on land. You're not going to be able to like be in VR. It's going to like your VR headset will be on and just like a 2D screen will pop up. It's not like you're going to be in VR. So hopefully soon they will get it built out so that the full VR support is there, and I anticipate probably in the next 6 months they will have that done. So yeah, guys, this is one of the best, most expansive VR compatible games out there. If you liked No Man's Sky, then I'm sure you'll like this game as well. Highly recommend it.
I liked watching you play No Man's Sky. So, I mean, this looks interesting. I gotta say, for the developer of this game, which you said was Frontier, right? Pretty impressive. Like most of the time DLC's like, look bro, we got some new spaceship skins bro, or like we got some new textures or something, or like new planets to be explored. Now it's like, no, we added vehicles and you can now drive on the planets, and now we're adding first person shooter elements, like, so you're just basically building new games within the game. That's pretty impressive.
Dude, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's game within a game inception right here.
I mean, that's easily, I don't know much about video game development, but that's easily grounds for like a new release, if you ask me. Like another $60 video game download. Like, hey, it's the same game you know and love, except for now you can land on planets, drive vehicles, and shoot at people.
Yeah, This game is not for like the faint of heart. It's not for your quick fix kind of deal where you can log in and play Call of Duty for an hour and log out, right? Like this is a game where you got to go sit down for a couple hours, go figure some things out, because it's going to take you a couple hours to figure things out and go and make some progression. So I think that's probably why the player base isn't as large, is because it's not a quick fix. It's, if you get involved in this game, you'll find that the community is heavily involved. And if you need help starting out, find a Discord server, find a forum. The people will help you. Everybody's very helpful in these types of games. So yeah, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Isn't that kind of funny how like the further we progress as a society, even in the last like 10 years or something, our attention spans have gotten so small. Like it's so hard to sit down and like dedicate time to anything, much less a video game. It's like hard to dedicate time to a video game. And that's why these other games, these like ephemeral sort of experiences like Call of Duty and Overwatch and whatever else are so much like more popular, because it's easy to jump in and jump out and move on to a different game.
Absolutely.
We don't like dedicating time to anything. It's got to be a quick fix. That's it.
Yep. I found myself trying to get further away from the quick fixes, because enough quick fixes and then, you've been playing a game for like 6 months and then you look back and you're like, well, I don't have anything to show for this.
Yeah, exactly.
So now I'm like, I try and focus more on some progression games where it's like, I can look back and be like, well, I unlocked everything and I have like the most badass, whatever, character or ship or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You at least have something to look back on.
Or in Fallout 76 Nuclear Winter, you log in and people are like, hey, I know you. You've killed me a bunch of times. That's
a good feeling. That's a good one.
Reese is a legend in Fallout 76.
I'm not a legend. I'm the new guy that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm the new guy that's not good.
Yeah, he's lying. He's lying. I got him playing and he's killed some of the best players in the game already. So
by chance. But so that's awesome, dude. I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah. I snuck up on him. But anyway, so I get that about does it for our show this week.
Yeah, man, it certainly does. I had a great time. We've had quite a week, man. So just in closing, I just want to mention again that you guys should definitely check out episode 37 and 38. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, and also subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you really want to help us grow, please share this episode with a friend. And if you go to gameradvantage.com and want to buy a pair of glasses, use code GBPOD, GBPOD, GBPOD20, and you'll get 20% off.
Yes, sir. Yes, I highly recommend you guys do that. We threw out a video on Instagram today too, just saying these glasses look awesome. I can't wait to get a pair for myself. Can't wait to show those bad boys off. So go check those guys out. Give them some love. And I guess until the next one, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.